All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the community conversation. We appreciate you joining us this evening. My name is Charity Martin King, and I am one of the co-facilitators and volunteers for this conversation this evening, one of several that we will have. We are asking that everyone, for the duration of the conversation, please keep your camera on. And if you have a question or something that we can possibly answer or address, we ask that you put it in the chat. The student moderator is on with us and will be documenting the questions and the conversations in the chat. So thank you and welcome. And again, this is regarding the facilities master plan, investing in our future together. And then we want to make sure that for tonight, that we move forward with grace. Everyone here has an opinion, and we want you to remain engaged, thoughtful, and the multiplicity of opinions is what makes this so important. So as we exercise grace, we want you to give everyone an opportunity to voice their opinion. Remain positive. This is a stressful time. Acknowledge when we don't have an answer, and being considerate and respectful of one another's time. And E for everyone, we are in this together. So give us, please, just a little bit of grace.
Thank you, Charity.
No problem. Thank you.
So I'm going to take a moment and introduce two videos. First of all, I'm Robin Randall with Leggett Architects. I'm going to be your facilitator today from our team. We've got two videos that we hope will inspire you and hopefully not scare you about what the future is about. One is about how technology and robotics are advancing and changing the way that we need to learn and move forward. The second is about the importance of community and communities embracing their educational facilities in their schools. So enjoy the video and then we'll welcome you back and get started.
I'm as a educator of over 30 years, it concerns me when I see that, or at least what I believe is we have communities that have become disengaged from their schools. And I just believe that our schools are a key element of any community and a key kind of bedrock of communities. And so I believe that we've got to better engage and more meaningfully engage our communities back into how we're thinking about our students and how we're thinking about the design of our schools. I've had experiences where I engage the communities in thinking about, what is it we want, in knowing that this is a rapidly changing world, interconnected, global, rapidly changing world. What do we want for our children? And these schools are the community schools. They're not Karen schools. And so how do we invigorate and excite people around what's going on in that school down the street? And how do we engage them in new and different ways? And I think if we can reinvigorate, reconnect our communities back to our schools, it will make our schools better and ultimately create better conditions and better outcomes for our kids.
All right, thank you so much. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce James Ragland, member of the Columbus City Schools Board. And in addition to James Ragland, with us tonight is Corey Grubbs, the area superintendent. So at this time, we introduce and welcome to the conversation board member James Ragland.
Thank you very much, Charity, and thank you to the entire leadership team that was able to put this together. Thank you for all of our volunteers that have signed on to help us guide this discussion about our facilities here, not only in Region 2, the east side of Columbus, but throughout the greater Columbus community. I agree with Dr. Garza that schools are an important part of everything that we do. We have schools in every single neighborhood in Columbus, and we will not begin to realize the greatness of our city until we have the type of schools that can prepare our students for the future. And we're working towards that very, very hard. And you all are a part of it. I am just eager to get involved. I'm eager to get my hands dirty with the work here so that we can make sure that we're advocating for those students, not just in Region 2, but all students here in Central Ohio to get the best facilities that we can. And so I am honored to be joined tonight by Dr. Corey Grubbs, who serves as the area superintendent for Region 2. Dr. Grubbs is here by way of Chicago, Illinois, his hometown, as well as Akron, Ohio. And we were able to get Dr. Grubbs to come down here, and we're looking forward to having him stay with us and continuing to lead the great efforts that are going on within Region 2. And so I'm proud to be a part of this effort tonight and moving forward and eager to get to work. With that, I'd like to introduce to all of you, Dr. Corey Grubbs, the area superintendent for Region 2 of Columbus City Schools. Dr. Grubbs.
Thank you, Board Member Ragland. I certainly appreciate your kind words there. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with all of you. I first want to thank our parents and our different community members for tuning in, our students for being here tonight with us, and all the different folks and community members that are here to engage in this conversation. Certainly appreciate it. I just want to take a couple of seconds to talk a little bit about Region 2, our schools on the east side, and kind of tell you a little bit about what the region consists of. In our region, we have 19 schools that make up the east side. There are 3 high schools, Walnut Ridge, Independence, and Columbus, Iota. We have 5 middle schools, and we also have 11 elementary schools. 2 of those 5 middle schools are specialty schools, the boys' school and the girls' school. And we also have, like I say, 11 elementary schools, and 2 of those are alternative schools, Columbus, Iota, and Beatty Park. Here in Region 2, all of our schools, I work with them very closely. They're supported. Our principals and schools are supported by our school leadership coach, which is Stephanie Patton, who's actually on the line tonight with us to engage in the conversation. And I tell you, in Region 2, we are focused on student engagement and community engagement. Our vision is around excellent preparation today. We believe excellent preparation today lends to unlimited opportunities tomorrow. When I think about that first video that was shown, and the question was, will our students be ready? We believe as we continue to engage our students in high quality work and designing meaningful experiences, that our students, our families, our community will be ready for those engaging in those high quality experiences that was seen like in the video. And so thank you again to all the families, to the volunteers, to our parents, to our students, to our facilitators, to you, Misty, as well, to everyone who's engaged in this conversation. I look forward and I'm excited about what's yet to come from this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go back to sharing screen here. Thank you for the grace. So I'm just going to take you through some slides and some process. As I said, my name is Robin Randall. I am the principal and educational planner with Leggett Architects. Dennis Payman and Melva Williams are also educational planners, and they will be facilitating other workshops. So what's important about this picture is that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and the most important thing that we're going to be doing is listening to you. This master plan is about Columbus City Schools and Columbus designing and imagining their future of education. And we are a part of the team to listen and to record that information and to make this about you. So Dennis is going to be leading mostly the Wednesday workshops, and Melva will be mostly leading the Thursday workshops, but we'll all be attending and helping as we can, supporting you. The process that we're going to take you through is a 5-step master planning collaborative process, and it really counts on community participation. So if you see someone that's not here, bring them along for the next time. And while it looks like a linear process, if you can just attend Envision and other pieces, you don't have to go right in order, but come as you can. So we're entering the first phase of the master plan, which is to gather all of the data and the information about the facilities, about the district, and about you. And so we've sent out a survey to help understand how you feel about your facilities. And that'll be the process for each step of the master plan. We will be sending out surveys. We'll be having community engagement sessions like this each month. And then we'll bring that information back to the large table and digest that information. So the first step is gather the data and really understand the research around learning. The next step is to envision your purpose in a piece of architecture. We know that you've done the portrait of the graduate research. And so what we want to do is translate that into a vision for facilities. What does adaptability mean to the environment? What kind of technology do you need? Where is the communication needing to happen? And imagine what that vision can be and create a vision statement for the master plan. And those goals and objectives that we collect during that phase, that will give us the guideposts and the measuring stick for success of the master plan. The next step is really to define what are the puzzle pieces needed. As we saw in the video, robotics lab might be something that high schools or the middle schools need. So how do we incorporate that? And that needs to go both quantitatively and qualitatively, describing what are those spaces. Do we need an outdoor learning space? Do we need a community space that the community can use the facility 24/7 instead of just for school, right? It's a community facility. So that's the first 3 phases. And what we call that is problem defining. So what we want to do is define the problem before we jump to solutions. So we'll take a pause through the summer, collecting more data. And then in the fall, we're very hopeful that we'll be able to be meeting in person and facilitate a design process that puts the puzzle pieces together. What do we need in the elementary school that's going to feed into the middle school and then really enlarge in the high school? What are those paces and how are we going to do that? How do we create equity across all 6 regions? How do we make sure that everybody finds a space that they can learn in and feel nurtured? So that's the consider phase. We'll ask you to kind of play architect, and we'll have some manipulatives, and we'll work those solutions together. And then once we develop those solutions, we'll draw them and then we'll evaluate them. So the last phase is really evaluating whether these solutions really transform your purpose into a place. And that transformation is how you will evaluate. So what are the pros and cons? What's the best way to solve the problem for Columbus City Schools? And then let's phase that. Let's figure out what's the most affordable and what do we do the first year? What do we do the 5th year? And what do we do the 10th year and the 15th year? How do we lay out this path, the roadmap, so that we can travel there all together? The gather phase is, like I said, we're going to be collecting data and history and documenting all of that, and we'll be placing that information as resources on the website. But what we're doing tonight is really collecting all that survey material that we sent a survey. We're going to talk about those survey questions tonight. And we need that information in order to customize the process and the solutions around you. There's a tremendous history of Columbus City Schools facilitating master plans, right? And the Fix It program came out of these master plans. And we've touched all kinds of facilities already. So in 2002, Columbus City Schools, Melva was a part of this, introduced a new comprehensive facilities master plan. And that forged together that community to foster increased achievement by providing appropriate accommodations for students and academic programs and building foundations for learning. So since then, 46 of the district schools serving over 22,000 students in segments 1, 2, and 3 of the facilities master plan have been renovated and reconstructed into 21st century learning environments. Some of those are in your region, and we're excited about hearing what's working and what's not working. So we are now embarking this past year, engaging the community to create a new educational vision. And the key component to that is the portrait of the graduate. Just like we saw in the video, we need to prepare students for the future. And so we've outlined that portrait of a graduate with 6 key components, and that'll be shared. And as I said, we'll try and translate those components into what architectural space can do to support those learning achievements. So we appreciate you joining this community conversation. As I said, look around you, bring friends, bring people that you may not even be supportive of facilities. We need the naysayers to come as well as the supporters. This is a constant feedback loop in how this will be structured. So the regional community conversations will happen. Thank you for coming. And that information will be documented and then feed into the facilities master plan committee. And then the committee will feed that information back to the regional conversations. So each time we will have a full loop of each of the 5 steps in the process. So make sure that we're communicating and hold us accountable for these conversations so that we transfer that information into the master planning process. We need everyone to be part of this conversation. Every piece of the pie needs to be present and contributing to the conversation. students, residents, community partners, business leaders. If you don't see people here, as I said, make sure they're coming, because people that have a voice will take this on as their master plan. This is a consensus building process, and whoever's at the table will own this. And we need people that maybe they're skeptical, maybe they don't believe that change can happen. And we need them here, and we need to hear their voice so that we can make change happen. So bring your neighbors and your friends to each of these forums. The way that we're structured is by region. We know that we have our 6 regional leaders, but each region has our co-chair and a series of student ambassador lead, and then a family ambassador lead. So I'll just put a shout out. We met one of the co-chairs. Is there other co-chairs that would like to introduce themselves now?
Hi, yeah, as I stated, Charity Martin King, one of the co-chairs for this particular region. Just excited to be on to help guide the conversation. I am a Columbus City School graduate of Eastmoor, but I'm happy to be a part of this and here with my other co-chair who is on as well.
Other co-chair, would you like to introduce yourself? All right, we'll hear from them next. The student ambassador lead, would you like to introduce yourself?
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, hi.
Okay. Yes. My name is Juwan Zamore. I'm also a co-chair with Charity Martin and Columbus Public School graduate of Walnut Ridge High School, and happy to be a part of the process. I'm looking forward to working with the team and seeing accomplishing some great things.
Thank you for being here. Our student ambassador lead.
Hi, my name is Madison. I attend Independence High School and I'm the student ambassador lead. I'm excited to work with everyone.
Thank you for being here, Madison. We were chatting. She's studying biology, girls in science. We love it. So, and then our family ambassador lead. Well, we'll see if they, I'm sure they're here. Maybe they're just having trouble unmuting. Anyway, so this is the way this is structured. Our co-chairs, our student ambassador, and our family ambassador lead will be the liaison to you, the community members. So all of those names that were pieces of the pie are listed here. And then Jim Negron has volunteered to be our chair of the committee, which is the Master Planning Committee. And each of the regions will be represented there. So the co-chairs and the student ambassador lead will participate in what we're calling the big table, or the Facilities Master Plan Committee. So attendees for each of the 6 planning regions, there'll be 4 community volunteers, as we said, 1 meeting host that will be the regional co-chair, 1 breakout room manager, which will also be the regional co-chair. The chat function monitor is the student liaison. And then the Google Docs monitor is the family ambassador lead. So these are the roles for each of the volunteers. And then we will have, as I mentioned, someone from our Leggett team as a resource for each of the engagement sessions. And those sessions are planned on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, mid-month. As I mentioned, this is the Gather first night of Gather, and we're working out the kinks. And then in May, we will endeavor to do the Envision session. And then in June, we will be conducting the Define session. I will be leading the Monday sessions. Dennis will be leading the Wednesday sessions, and Nala will be leading the Thursday sessions. We will be attending each other's sessions just as support, but that's how the master plan will be organized and scheduled. So here we are at Gather. We're excited to have all 6 planning regions represented. Region 2 tonight, so thank you for being here. We know how many facilities are here and how important these are to our communities. So the 20 high schools, 20 middle schools, the 66 elementary schools, and the 6 special instructional schools. We can't do this without you. How will we create equity? How will we create learning environments for the future in each of these communities?
All right, Robin. Appreciate that. So as we think about and guide this discussion tonight as we gather, this is the time for us to work through some of the content and engage you in the discussion this evening. And as you are thinking about Columbus City Schools and the facilities plan, don't just think about curriculum, don't just think about standardized testing and scores and all these other conversations, but also think about social emotional learning. Think also about diversity, equity, and inclusion when you're considering your conversations. So at this time, we are going to split out into breakout rooms, Zoom breakout rooms. We will have someone who is recording some of your questions, but we will spend some time together in the breakout room, and then we will come back and sort of report out where we are. And if we don't know something or there's more information that needs to be conveyed, we will work through that and approach it as we embark on this particular journey together. Some of the survey questions that we will go over are, what are some of the aspects of our schools that you feel are successful for education? And the second is, what aspects of our schools do you feel are barriers for education? So at this time, you will be assigned to your breakout room. Please join your breakout room, and we will convene back together soon.
Yes. Will you receive? Each person had received a Zoom link and was given a specific breakout room for an assignment. Please select the option when it pops up on your screen. Each group will have a champion, a reporter, and a scribe. After 30 minutes, we will all come back together as a group at large and discuss some of the topics that was recently discussed. When 10 minutes remain, I will come in each one of the groups and let them know that we have a 10-minute remaining block and that we will need to start gathering all of the Google Forms and information for us to later discuss when we get back together again. So at this time, we should break out into our groups.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Is our family ambassador on or not?
She's not here, Charity.
All right, no problem. So we are going to report out a bit on some of the discussion. Jawanza, are you still here with me? We popped in on a few rooms. I had a wonderful conversation in the room that I was in and took some notes. And so let's get into discussing what came out of our groups. So group 1 in particular.
I think group 1 was not used because the student didn't come. So
okay, I see the note. We have 2, 4, 5, and 6. So group 2, if you could share some of the highlights of the conversation.
Are you speaking to me, Miss Chair?
Yes, that was yes, okay. Please.
I just I believe it was just you and I focused on, because I have a child with an IEP. Some of the positives is that I do feel that there is a solid support for students with individual educational plans, as long as the parents are engaged, because my child's had an IEP since he was 2. And just wanting, we broke down the aspects of an IEP and how the Columbus City staff, how they support, they do their very best And that's what I've seen from my child ever since he's been there. And we're just talking about ways to, better support, I believe, the faculty with individual educational plans and the students with IEPs, and just overall student support and family support.
Thank you. And then we've recorded, I did a lot of recording on some things and some suggestions on improvements around inclusion and transitioning from one grade to the other and support. Let's go to, thank you, Yvonne, for joining me in that room. Let's go to group 4. We'll just some brief highlights, and then we'll do 5 and 6, and then we'll get to our wrap up for tonight. Group 4.
How you doing? My name is Clarence Daniels. I'm the head football coach at Walnut Ridge High School. In our group, we attacked some of the questions. Now, did you want me to be specific on one question or just give you an overview?
Just a quick overview, if you don't mind, okay. Coach.
One of the better aspects that we all agreed on that were successful for our schools is Walnut Ridge, East Haven, and Scottwood are established community schools. And when we say that, families have went there. So it's like a family tradition to go to these schools. So that helps with the educational processes. Also, all of the schools I just mentioned have diversity in them, especially Walnut Ridge. I thought that was one of the biggest things they had going. It's great for inner city kids to bump elbows and be forced to interact and learn about different races and cultures within their own building. So that's always an important thing that all our schools had. When it came to the negative, the barriers, inside this COVID situation, we realized class size is important. We are all teaching in smaller classes now, size-wise. So we are definitely getting a little bit more accomplished and having a pleasant day at school. Other needs that from Scottwood and East Haven, they said that space, they just don't have enough space. Teachers are working off carts. Music teachers are coming to people's classroom with carts, instruments, books, trying to do their thing. And no offense, when those teachers come in, sometimes the kids just don't take them seriously because they're on those carts. And, I added a little bit, and I didn't want to be rude about it, but my main thing was when you have a building that looks like a factory, you might produce factory workers. If you have a building that looks like a prison, I think our facilities must be updated. The pride will still stay inside those buildings, even if you change them. But students shouldn't have to have, you talking about robotics and stuff like that, when the roof and the ceiling tiles is all dilapidated. As I go into being a football coach for this school, I see a lot of things with our facilities that need to be improved that should happen to all schools, not just one. So there's a lot of barriers when it comes to facilities and the space with our facilities that need to be addressed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. It's great when we have coaches on, isn't it? That's so wonderful. People serving in the schools and working with our Columbus City School students. Thank you, Coach. Group 5, if you can give us some highlights from your discussion.
I believe Madison, our student, is going to be our person who reports out. Madison?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talked about was something that was benefiting education during this past couple months, past year, like students and staff or parents and staff communicating. It's helped the students and the teachers understand each other better. Another one was, we talked about health, like the subject, and learning more and helping students retain more since it's very important. Also, air conditioning, because that can be a health issue if some students get too hot, or also you get not unmotivated when you're too hot. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Madison. And again, we're recording these items for future conversations. Madison, thank you for that. If we could please hear from Group 6 before we go to Board Member Ragland.
Yeah, I think I was talking most of the time, so I'll go ahead and talk. Even though my team was dynamic and they gave all of the information, I more just scribed. Some of the successes that we heard from our parent and our community leaders was teachers. So really the success in our schools are teachers building strong relationships with students, caring and welcoming environment. And I think that really piggybacking off of what Mr. Daniel stated about the community and how vested it is in generations of students, it was important as well. Also, having success in our schools came out of pre-K and kindergarten programs. Really starting, we all know that early childhood education is very important. So with Columbus City Schools focusing on early childhood education, that really has proved a success. And once again, just majorly the welcoming environment and students wanting to come to school. There was more on the successes, but I'll move on to the barriers for sake of time. One of our major barriers was equity, access, and opportunity for students, for all students. It really just across the board. Also, some of those barriers to education or policies and local politics. We brought up gentrification and red lines, just really just going deep into what causes some of the separation in the community, or certain kids go to certain schools. So that was one of the barriers that we brought up. But then also we started talking about opportunity and access to certain classes. We started to express bigger schools. With bigger schools, we can have more opportunity for students. And that really started to govern our topic, was to possibly talking about bigger schools so that you can offer more courses and things of that nature for students.
Thank you, Doc. It's good to have you on, Doc West, to have you on. And thanks for everything you've done. Saw you quite a bit out at Independence this past year, passing out food and things to the community. So it's just wonderful to have so many educators on this evening. I'm going to also thank Jawanza Moore, who was on, my co-coordinator for this particular region, who assisted with popping in and out of rooms. And then I'm going to go to Board Member James Ragland, but really quickly want to remind everyone to join us again on Wednesday, April 28th. Again, that's Wednesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. We'll meet virtually, and it will be another live stream on the Columbus City Schools Facebook and the YouTube platform. Please also be on the lookout for a survey when we move into the envision phase of this process. One of our next phases, as the overview stated, was the envision phase. And please direct people to the Columbus City Schools social media platform so that they can continue to get information. And then what we discuss here will be also reported out to the other regions. And we will get a chance to see what their conversations are as well. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. I want to bring back in Board Member James Ragland to get us wrapped up for this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Charity, and thank you for everyone who's volunteered their time this evening to join in this facilities master plan process. We wanted to do something a little bit different here in Region 2 because we wanted to have some conversations with some special guests, and you'll see throughout what we are doing here in Region 2, we're going to be inviting some very important people from Region 2 to join us for just a bit of a colorful conversation, no holds barred conversation about some of the things that we see is happening within the district. And so you have heard from our special guests already, two of them, two very gifted educators who I've had the pleasure of knowing for the majority of my life. One, I want to introduce to some and present to others the newest head football coach at Walnut Ridge High School, Coach Clarence Daniels, who was reporting out for his group today. And we are also proud to be joined by Mr. Ernest Doc West, who is the principal of Columbus Scioto High School. And we're going to engage in just a little bit of a discussion because I felt that these two could give us some very unique perspectives on facilities based on what their career path has led them to. And so if you didn't know, Coach Daniels for a time was the history teacher at Walnut Ridge before he moved and started teaching history and coaching football at Columbus Afrocentric. Now he is back to being the head football coach at Walnut Ridge. And so you'll see a bridge between Walnut Ridge being one of our older buildings within the district, and then him having an opportunity to get some experience in one of our newest buildings in the district at Afrocentric. And the same can be said for Mr. West. Mr. West was the principal at Independence for quite some time and is now the principal at Columbus Scioto, one of our newer buildings. And so the ability to be able to speak from both areas is something that really adds value and is very unique for our region. And so I wanted to ask both of these men to give us their perspective on their new schools, their old schools, and what they think students need based on what they've seen, the best and the worst of Columbus City Schools. And so, Coach Daniels, welcome. Mr. West, welcome. Thank you for volunteering your time today. And I'd like to open up with Coach Daniels. Being the new head football coach at Walnut Ridge, I know that's like a homecoming for you. So just talk a little bit about your career and some of the things that you've seen, Coach, and what your plans are for the Walnut Ridge football team and the students at Walnut Ridge moving forward. Welcome tonight.
Thank you very much, James. Well, real quick about my career, proud Columbus School graduated from Mifflin High School, had a awesome opportunity to teach at Walnut Ridge High School for 5 years. Then I was at Columbus Afrocentric for the last 4. The biggest things that I've seen is basically, because believe it or not, when I first got there, the kids from Afrocentric just left the old building.
Right. Yep.
So when they got into the new building, it was like, everything that could be wrong at the other building was right at this building, whether it be the aesthetics of the outside of the building, the flowing green grass where the other school was downtown locked inside the city, the football field and the stadium, the basketball stadium that was built for that girls team and that boys team over there. That's absolutely outstanding. It's a testament to Dr. Walker's vision and the vision of the Afrocentric council board who made that school. It's an absolutely lovely place. As we move over back to Ridge, and I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, the pride of that building is just tremendous when I'm over here at the other school. It's a wild thing because the alumni, again, Afrocentric is only 18 years old. The alumni at Ridge goes back so far. One day I'm at a Bob Evans and the guy comes in with the kilt on. And I'm like, I'm at Afrocentric and at Walnut Ridge. And he was like, yeah, I want to come up there. I used to know the people up there. So he came up there and played the bad pipes for us. But anyway, I'm going too far. The facilities.
Oh.
When I got over there, I spent my first 2 weeks removing all the equipment out of the stadium because it just recently went through a flooding situation. We lost over $3,000 worth of jerseys and different types of equipment during that flood. And to actually say we need a new stadium would be ludicrous when probably every school besides Afrocentric needs a new stadium. You see press boxes that are dilapidated and not working, dangerous to even walk upon. and coaches still go up there in those things and try to do their jobs. I'm just going to go back to what I was saying earlier. There is a difference when you build a palace and a student walks into it. They feel like royalty. Whereas if a student walks into a building that looks like a prison, they might come out a prisoner. And I'm not saying that we're making that. I'm saying that it takes more than some paint on a wall to change the building. You know, sometimes I feel like as a school on Livingston Avenue, I'm competing with the other schools on Livingston Avenue, the Reynoldsburgs, and I keep on going to the Pick Towns. Students, our brand is being attacked so much because of facilities that students are choosing other options. We're losing our ingredient, our main ingredient, because our facilities aren't up to par.
Yes, sir.
Yes, not.
And Coach, thank you for that perspective. And I knew that you would bring it. No, we don't take offense. That is precisely the perspective that we need to hear, because you represent a lot of the reason why we're here. The community is voicing that to you. You're not only seeing it with your own eyes, but I know for full well that you hear that from the community as well. I want to shift to allow Mr. West some time to speak as well. You spent a huge portion of your career, Mr. West, over at I-High and are still just beloved within that community. Now you're at Columbus Scioto and you see one of our newer buildings in the district. Talk to me about some of the things that you see at Scioto that you feel our students, our 76ers over at Independence, would be able to benefit from. And just give us a little bit of background on your career, some of the things that you've seen. You were Baba West at Afrocentric back when it was at the old Mohawk. And so that perspective is very important here today as well. So welcome, Doc West, and please give us a little bit of insight from your perspective, sir.
Definitely, and thank you, and I welcome. I'm thankful to be on the call, and as Mr. Daniel stated, when you walk into Columbus Scioto, it's wow. I walk up and I buzz to get in. I swipe my badge to get in. It's really state of the art, a state of the art facility. It's a eco-friendly facility. With natural sunlight all through the building. I mean, really, there's one hallway I love to walk down in the morning in between 7 and 8 a.m. because the sun is shining all through the building. There is a space on the roof to where students just staff and students could build a garden, a community garden on the building. Heating and cooling is up to par. The PA systems, everything just works perfect in the building. I mean, there's not one thing that doesn't work. Even when I'm in teachers have everything they need. There are teacher workrooms on the first floor, on the second floor. There's a full kitchen and workspace in the main office area. It just really was thought out, but it's a modern building as we talked about. So this building opened up in 2015. Then we go to Independence that was built in 1975. So being at Independence for 7 years, everything that Columbus Scioto has, we worked year after year. And I really think that Lori, I'm thankful that Lori was on this call because me and Lori were able to meet several times to get Independence kind of maybe 1 or 2% closer to Columbus Scioto. New lights throughout the building, new paint, heating and cooling. There was a new track installed in those 7 years, new gym, new blacktop now is all throughout the building. There's still an outdated an outdated auditorium at Independence. There was a new vestibule just constructed at the front door. And I'm saying all that to say that Independence still looks like a big concrete slab. You know, with all those those updates, it still is far subpar to Liberty in its backyard,
Yeah.
and also Columbus Iota. So really, for me to walk into Columbus Iota, now I can be as creative as possible as an educator, because I'm not out trying to find the PA system that's going to work. We aren't we don't have to go to a certain classroom because all of their technology works just in that one classroom. So those are some of the barriers that you have with a newer facility. But I'm happy that someone else spoke on it, because that's a big piece.
Yes, sir. And I'm grateful to the both of you for giving that insight. And the one thing that I heard that was consistent across both stories here was the intentionality that was placed upon the new building, and understanding that they were planful in putting all of the small details into Afrocentric, and they were planful in putting those small details into Columbus Iota. And, for me, tonight was the first step towards that intentionality in dealing with all of our schools throughout the district, because, someone had to sit down and say, okay, here is what we would like to see for our schools before Afrocentric and before Columbus Iota was literally built. And these conversations today lend themselves to that practice. And so, what you have seen is the manifestation of an investment of time, talent, and treasure into those two schools. And we've got to do the same thing for both Independence, for Walnut Ridge, and for, Broadly was mentioned earlier today, and many of the other schools throughout the district. And so engaging with the community in these types of discussions is very, very important. And I just want to express to the both of you brothers, I know we only have 1 minute left before I turn it back over to Coach King, but I want to express to the both of you brothers how proud I am to see you both in leadership roles within Columbus City Schools, how proud I am to have seen your careers and your professional development. We've known each other since we were kids, and it is just awesome to see both of you serving in leadership within this district, molding the lives of young men and women into being what they don't even know how great that they can be. But you've been molding these lives for years, and now you're starting to see the manifestation of that. Many of you you've got graduates and folks that have now started their own families, and it's because of your leadership that they've been able to do that. And I want to thank you, not just you, but everyone that's on this call. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the Mifflin Puncher family is mourning today the loss of our friend Shay Ford Anthony, and I want to express our condolences to the Ford family, the Anthony family, and her husband Bill and her two sons, and everyone that came across Shay's path, knew and loved her, and she was just a bright spot within our community and within this city. And the entire Mifflin family is hurting tonight, and we're just surrounding each other with hugs and loves. And I just want to make sure that Anthony family and that Ford family knows that we have ultimate love for them, and we mourn the loss of just an amazing woman in the presence of Shay Anthony. And so with that, thank you, Ms. Charity. Please give us the wrap up and remind us of when we are next going to convene. And I look forward to continuing this discussion. Thank you to our special guests, Coach Daniels and Mr. West. I really appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you, Board Member Ragland, and thank you for your sentiments for the family and for the community as well. And thank you everyone for being on. I just want to remind you that the next time that we are getting together in regard to this region, be on the lookout, Wednesday, April 28th, 6 p.m. We will connect virtually, Columbus City Schools YouTube platform and their Facebook platform live. That's going to happen live. Also, for the next phase, the Envision phase, look for the survey. You will receive a survey. Feel free to connect other individuals to that survey so that they can get it completed. And then I want to say thank you again to everybody who's managing tech behind the scenes, giving us good notes and helping us put this together. The architecture firm, our educators, everybody who's on tonight, parents, and our student leadership who's on. So that's it for us tonight. And thank you. And we will see you again. Stay safe and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.